Okay, got it. We're recording now. So, as I was saying before, today we're going to work in our class number 8.2. It's going to be the second part of our class of yesterday, which was about the passive voice. Now, yesterday we were talking about the passive voice. We learned how to describe the things that were done in the past, the books that were written, the movies that were directed, and so on, and the same in the present. When we said like, or when we talk about things that are done in the world, no? So that happen in the world, but the subject is not clear. The money that is used, the products that are produced, the companies that are created, and so on, right? Today I have a question for the start in the class. It's a very open question, yeah? The question is, what's going on with the world right now? What do you think that is going on? What have you seen that it's going on with the world? Are there wars or what's going on with the governments? What's going on in general with the world? What things have you seen?
Well, I think the world is changing a lot, and we are to change too.
It's changing a lot. Okay, very good. Especially in what terms? Like,
Um, and especially in the technology, the advanced technology about medicine, well, everything.
true, true. Very good. Yeah, of course, like a lot of people are inventing different things, new technologies, new devices. Recently, they appear, Google, no, sorry, Apple came up with the Pro View, something with the glasses, which are like augmented reality. Incredible. So the technology is changing a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other aspect maybe that is changing right now?
Well, the contamination is increased.
Crazy.
Hmm.
Pollution, no? Like in
Yeah,
general, the
pollution.
environmental problems, no?
Environment. Yeah.
Environment. Environmental issues, problems. Muy bien, that's good. Very good, man. Andre, anything that is changing right now? What's going on with the world? What have you seen?
Yes, teacher. I think that we are living in the age of the consumerism and the climate change.
Okay. Climate change, which is, of course, part of the environmental issues, climate change, global warming, acid rain, all of that, right? And consumerism, good word, consumerism, which means that the people are consuming everything, information, series, devices, objects, traveling. Well, the people are happy, or the happiness is consuming, no? Consuming things, right? Okay, very good. So when we talk about all of these things that you mentioned, the technology, the environmental issues, the climate change, the consumerism, yes. Well, first we talk about that it's something that is going on right now. So as the question said, it's right now. So that's why you said it is changing, right? It's happening and it's a process, right? But one more time here, the subjects are not completely clear, right? Because for example, who are inventing the technology? Many people. Some of them Apple, some of them Samsung, some of them Google. Technology, it's like all around the world. Some of them in China, some of them in the United States, right? The same with environmental issues, with the climate change, right? So who is contaminating the world? Everybody, all the world, all the people, no? Every time that we start a car, every time that we light turn on a light, yeah, we are contaminating, but it doesn't have a specific subject because it's everyone. The same with the last one. Who is consuming things? We are all doing it. We are consuming information, as I told you, products, I don't know, every kind of products that are sold, the people are consuming. So in this case, of course, if we don't have any specific subject, what do you think that we are going to use? What do you think if we don't have a specific subject?
People, well,
What is structure? What happens when
uh,
we don't have a specific subject? Is there a change or no? Nothing happened? I mean, when we have a subject that is not clear, what do we have to use? No, nothing. Well,
I forget it.
don't worry, don't worry. When we'll have a subject clear, like in all of these sentences, there it's the moment for talking about the passive voice, right?
All right.
So remember that when we have passive voice, is because the subject is not clear, right? We have no idea what the subject is, right? And remember that the passive voice, the structure, it's going to be created by mixing the verb to be plus a verb in past participle, right? Depending on the tense of the original idea. Yesterday, we were saying, for example, that, I don't know, the coffee is produced in Colombia. Yes, we didn't say by whom, the subject was not clear. So we just said starting with the object and then verb to be plus the verb in past participle. As it is in present, the verb to be is in present. That's it. At the same time, we also talk about that the Apple company, sorry, Apple was founded, yes, by Steve Jobs, right? So in that case, yeah, well, we knew the subject, but it's more important the complement, the object. So that's why we use the passive voice. And it's the same, verb to be plus the verb in past participle, right? Taking into account that if it's in past, the verb to be is in past, right? So it's always the same structure, verb to be and verb in past participle. Manu, question?
No, there's like example and environment. Environment issues are produced by the people. Like that is a passive voice.
Almost, don't worry. We're going to see what
Yeah.
happened today.
Uh,
So as I told you here, as the question was about right now. When we talk about right now, what is the tense that we have to use? Is it simple present? Is it simple
Simple
past?
present.
Is it simple present? Yes.
Yeah.
Any other? Simple present could be, of course, could be. But there is another
present continuous. Present
present
continuous.
continuous. Very good. Present continuous. That's why you said, for example, the word is changing, right? So it's changing. It's like because I said what's going on, what is going on, yeah, with the word right now. So we are using the present continuous, right? If you remember, yesterday we were talking about what can we do? Well, that the passive voice, it's possible to be in any tense, simple present, simple past, and here today we're going to learn how to do it in present continuous, right? The structure of the present continuous is very simple. We have the verb to be. Let me just erase this part. Wait, let me erase this part. Yeah, that's the structure of the present continuous. Normally, it's verb to be plus the verb in ing. Yes, for example, is changing, it's going on, people are consuming, the world is warming, the rivers, sorry, the people are contaminating the rivers, people are inventing, so it's going to be the verb to be plus the verb in ing. That's the structure of the present continuous. But remember that in the passive voice, we have to use the verb to be in the structure of the tense plus the verb in past participle. So what we're going to do in the passive voice, it's a little bit confusing, but don't worry. Apply this structure only to the verb to be. So it's going to be verb to be plus being, which is the verb to be in ing. O sea, este es el presente continuo del verb to be. Está siendo o están siendo. And then the verb in past participle, right? For example, we're saying that people are consuming a series, for example. Yes. Instead of saying that, I can say that series are being consumed. Because as the subject is not clear, we don't know, it's people in general, it's better to give the emphasis to the object, o sea, to the part at the end. So we said, okay, the series in Netflix, series in Star Plus, blah, 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 are, verb to be, being, is always being, siempre será being, right? It's verb to be in ing, and then the verb in past participle. Series are being consumed. That is the passive voice of the present continuous, right? Or the present continuous in the passive voice structure. Ready? So it's the verb to be, the verb being, and the verb in past participle. If you remember, yesterday I gave you a what? A web page, yes, in which you can find that. So we said passive voice in present continuous is or are, luego being, luego verb in past participle, right? So is being or are being, and then the verb in past participle, right? Más o menos, ¿cómo vamos hasta ahí? Good?
Good, good.
Good.
Yes, teacher.
Excellent. So in that case, the idea is to include it when we are talking about these things that are happening in the world right now, but we don't have a specific subject, right? For example, let me just erase this part. Question. Sorry. How is the air? And maybe Andrea can help us here because she's a environmental engineer. How is the air being polluted nowadays? How is the air being polluted nowadays, in these days, right now? With the smoke, with forest fires, with aerosols, maybe with sprays. How is the air being polluted?
Teacher, the air um, being polluted by the factories and transport and uh, no less important, how do you say ganadería?
Oh my God, I forgot how do you say that? Cattle raising. Cattle
By,
is like, yeah.
by cattle.
Yeah, because they are deforesting the woods, right?
Right or not? The cattle is the the process that more produced the air polluted
Okay, very good.
or animals.
In general, yes, because maybe of the feces and everything, right?
Yes.
Okay, muy bien. So in that case, excellent. She said, teacher, the air is being polluted. We don't have, well, we have some subjects here, which is factories, transportation, and cattle raising, right? But in general, it's more important to describe what's going on. What is the problem? What is the problem? Not the subject, not so important, but more important to describe the process. So, okay, the air is being polluted by the factories and transported by factories, transportation, and cattle raising. Good, excellent. Is being polluted. That's great. Okay. For example, let me just ask you another one here. Yes. Which applications, wait, let me change the color. Good. Which apps are being used nowadays? Maybe Facebook, it's already out of the time, it's out of date. So which of these applications are being used nowadays? Right, so nowadays, which is in this moment, right? So which apps are being used right now?
Teacher, the apps that are being used nowadays are, for example, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and WhatsApp, and
That's good.
Netflix.
And
The
Netflix too.
others, I don't know.
Maybe Snapchat, YouTube,
Action. Yeah.
Spotify, Messenger. But okay, good. Well, so in this case, Andre, as usual before, she's using the structure with the verb to be. She's saying the apps that are being used are tan tan tan, like a list. But in this case, it's simpler than that. You could say simply Instagram, comma, TikTok, comma, Facebook, and
Okay.
WhatsApp. And WhatsApp are,
Being used nowadays.
so that they are being used nowadays. Right? Of course. So we said that these ones are the most popular applications nowadays. So Instagram that are being used nowadays by whom? By people in general, right? By teenagers, by students, by the adults, by everyone. So in that case, that's why we use the passive voice of the present continuous. Ready? How do you feel? Good? Questions,
Yeah.
problems, or
Good. Good.
Yes, teacher.
muy bien, very good. Now, as I told you before, this can be in any tense, right? So, for example, if I want to include these things, but maybe describing possibility or obligation or something like that, I can use the passive voice with modal verbs. No? How is it? Simple. I just have to put let me just erase this part here. I just have to use oh my God, let me make some space here. We just have to make some change with the verb to be. Because remember that the passive voice is simply using the verb to be with a verb in past participle. So what I have to do is to apply the modal verb to the verb to be plus the next verb in past participle, right? So for example, modal verb plus be, siempre, siempre be, plus verb in past participle. ¿Por qué siempre be? Recuerden que después de un modal, el verbo siguiente siempre va a ir en infinitivo. En este caso, pues el infinitivo del verb to be es be. That's it. No? So we have, for example, can be and the verb in past participle. Should be and the verb in past participle. Must be and the verb in past participle. Right? For example, sorry, what changes should be should be done to stop the climate change? What changes should be done, modal verb, verb to be, verb in past participle, to stop the climate change? I don't know. What can you think of? What should the people do? Remember that as the subject is not clear, we're using the verb, passive voice. Modal verb, be, and the verb in past participle.
Well, can be recycling more.
Okay, so the trash or
The
more
trash.
trash, let's say more trash can be what?
Recycling.
Recycled, right? In past participle.
Yeah.
Recycle. Very good. That's one idea, no? Andre, what about you?
Can be used less particular transport and more public transport.
Let's do it by that way. So public transport, public transport, yes, can, but remember that it's a suggestion. So maybe we can also use another one. Public transport should be used more, right? Modal verbs, we have a lot. So we can have can, could, should, must, have to, need to, all of them. They can also be used in passive voice. Should be, can be, and the verb in past participle. Okay, very good. That's great. Ready? So far we have seen passive voice in present continuous and passive voice of the modal verbs. Those are topics that you're going to see also a little bit in the future. Yes, so don't worry, you're going to do it again. You're going to see it again in other levels, but it's like an introduction to this passive voice topic. Ready? Questions on this part with the modal verbs, or is that all right?
Just the example is with can or should or would. We use that
You
or
can use any modal verb, okay?
animals.
Yes.
Or
For example, let me just another question. What needs to be done to improve my English? In that case, more than a recommendation, I'm talking about a necessity. So I use the modal verb need to. It's the same. Need to be, and then verb in past participle. Question, what needs to be done to improve my English?
Need to be studying more.
For example, practice
Practice.
needs to be no sé, included in my routine. Or the modal verbs, the verbs in past needs to be studied. Practical exercises need to be done, for example, right? Something like that. Andre, any idea what needs to be done to improve my English?
To talk needs to be included.
Good. For example, speaking activities or speaking practice, speaking exercises need to be included, right? Muy bien. So need to be, should be, can be, must be, maybe if it's an obligation, must be, so on, right? So in that case, the most important thing is that, well, you remember that it's simply as easy as modal verb to be in infinitive, and then the verb in past participle. But also to remember that in this case, we don't have a clear subject. So usually the first part, it's not you, he, she, no, because we don't have a subject. It's going to be the object. So more trash, public transportation, practice, speaking exercises, right? Of course, you can say, for example, you need to include speaking activities or speaking exercises. Yes, but that is a active voice. In that case, well, you said, okay, you, especially you, but this is an activity that everybody has to do. So it's better to use the passive voice because the subject is not specific, but it's general, it's everybody. So we can say speaking exercises need to be included, right? Better? Yes?
Yes, teacher.
Perfect, that's it. Ready? Now, well, this is something that we have been talking about, like changes in general, like changing about the word, right? What about if I ask you the next question? Wait a second. I need to make some space here. Oh, erasing. Good. So in that case, the question that I have for you guys is I would like to know, well, you told me that the word is changing, right? The word is changing a lot. So I'm going to ask you, yes, what are the upcoming advances? What are the upcoming advances? Like what is about to happen in the world? Maybe inventing flying cars, maybe inventing teletransportation, maybe traveling to the moon. What do you think? What's going to happen in the future?
Teacher, all the things that relational by artificial intelligence.
Mhm. The artificial intelligence, the AI, right? Okay, good. It's going to change, right? Manu?
Like cars can be used another type of fuel or friendly with the environment.
Hopefully, right? So
Yes.
new types of fuel. Maybe aeolic, maybe electric, maybe
Yeah.
different things, right?
Right.
Okay, very good. Anything else, maybe?
Teacher, electric transportation.
Hope so too, right? So electric transport.
More efficient.
Yeah, of course, it's more efficient, and of course, it's a little bit eco-friendly. So of course, we would stop the air pollution, no? So that's it. Very good. So anything else? Any other advance? Any other breakthrough? Here.
The medicine, maybe.
Of course. Well, one parenthesis, the word breakthrough, it means similar to advances. It's a synonym of advance, no? When I say
Right.
a scientific breakthrough or a mechanical breakthrough, it's like an advance in one field. Okay, so Manu says in the medicine, right?
Right.
Especially any specific part, any specific field of the medicine?
Well, in the surgeries, uh, being more fast and effective
It's like that. How do you spell surgery? I forgot.
surgeries.
Yeah, I remember. It's a little bit different from the spelling. Good. So the medicine surgery, maybe, no? So it's already gonna be different. So
Yeah, like a machine do the surgery.
exactly. So a machine maybe will do the surgery, right? So here, for finishing the three different tenses that we're going to see in the passive voice, we're going to include, of course, if it's upcoming, it's about the future. So we're going to see the two different kinds of future that we have. One way is to use the modal verb will and do it the way that we did it before. Will plus be plus the verb in past participle. Remember that in this case, will, it's about something that it's like a prediction, no? It's not so certain. But at the same time, we can also use be going to be, yes, and then the verb in past participle. That is the other way that we can introduce the future into the passive voice, right? Something a little bit more certain. And in all the cases, is simply adapting the verb to be to the future. Will, going to, and then with the verb to be, and then, of course, including the verb in past participle. All the structures are resumed here, are summarized here in this structure. Verb to be plus verb in past participle, right? For example, the electric transportation, that is something that is already going on. So I think that electric transportation, I am almost sure electric transport is going to be implemented in all the world. You know, it's what we expect, you know, because it's more efficient than that. So we say that electric transportation is going to be, always be, and then implement, right? That's what we think. It's almost certain. Maybe also Manuel told me like, teacher, the machines or one machine is
Yeah.
going or probably will do the surgeries, right?
Right.
We are not completely sure. We think that it's a prediction, so maybe we can use will. But of course, what is more important, the machine that is any machine or the surgery? No, the surgery. So we're going to do it in the other way. Surgeries will be performed or, done, perform. Finish it.
By a medical machine,
Probably no, but some
by
kind of machine.
some kind of machine, right?
Yeah, good. Or, well, actually, what Andrea was saying, no, by some kind of artificial intelligence also, no? So it could be,
Yeah.
right? Muy bien. Now, the cases are being solved. In this moment, the cases are being solved by the artificial intelligence, no? Like the judges are using that for solving the cases. So probably, yes, in the future, the surgeries will be performed by some kind of artificial intelligence, right? Questions about it? Difficulties, more or less?
Oh no,
No,
it's,
teacher.
It's all right.
no teacher.
Well, very good. So, for example, I think that some jobs will be replaced by artificial intelligence. So the subject is not clear. I could say also artificial intelligence will replace some jobs, but I decided to use it in the passive voice for expressing more the focus of the word, right? How can you describe this prediction? How could you do this prediction into the passive voice?
Cars will be replaced the type of fuel in the future.
That one it would be like, because the car is the subject, no? So the cars,
Yeah.
well, the people will replace the the fuel, replace the fuel, no?
Yeah.
So what I can use, this is the object, I can say, because this is active voice, will replace. I can use it the other way. New types of fuel will be
Will be
implemented.
replace, implement,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, okay, good. Implemented
in the future.
in the future, very good. Will be adapted, will be developed, so different kinds of verbs that we have. So will be implemented, will be adapted, will be developed, will be, yeah, like, I don't know, created, that's like, discovered, maybe, right? Bueno, so basically, these are the three different ways that we are going to have in order to use the passive voice. I mean, apart from the previous one that we saw yesterday. The focus is going to be, of course, the one that we saw yesterday, but this one is going to be really important because they are like an introduction to all the different kind of things that we can do with the passive voice. In present, in future, with modals, with no modals, with present continuous, with present perfect, with present simple, with all different kinds of verbs. Oh, tenses, right? Wait, so, there, let me help you here. No, here. Over here, good. And let me erase this part. Bueno, people, so here we said, read the next sentence and transform them into the passive voice. Be careful with the time of the original sentence. Ready? Let's go one by one, transforming that sentence into the passive voice. Ready? So, number one, Andre, read it and transform it into the passive voice, my dear.
Teacher, in present continuous or future?
This one
In
is present continuous because it's people
Okay.
are using.
Many people are using TikTok these days.
Mhm.
Many people are being used TikTok these days or not?
No, because remember
No.
that the first thing that we have to do is to change the object to the beginning.
Okay.
And this, you can include it or not. It's optional.
Okay, so TikTok uh, is is being used these days.
As simple as that. TikTok is being used these days. You don't need to use many people
Okay.
because, of course, we know that it's people. We don't know that. I mean, we know that the dogs are not going to use TikTok. So it's obvious. You just have to remove it. No problem. TikTok is being used
Okay.
this. Muy bien. Manu, number two.
Right. The greatest of the politicians have produced corruption and poverty. And in passive voice, more corruption and poverty has been increased by the politicians.
Has been produced.
I
Because,
produce
uh-huh.
produced by the politicians.
Very good. By the greed of the politicians. The greed, you know what is the meaning of greed?
Codicia, right?
Codicia. Very good. Excellent. That's it. Number three.
Somebody will invent a revolutionary technology in the next years. In passive voice, the revolutionary technology will be invented in the next years.
Perfecto. That's great. Excellent. Good, good, good. Manuel.
People in India produce the best silk of the world. The best silk of the world is produced in India.
That one was easy. That one was very easy. Very good.
Right. Yes.
Muy bien. Excellent. Andre, five.
Teacher, someone stole the diamond from the museum. In the passive voice, the diamond, the diamond uh, is stolen from the museum.
Casi, because it's stole is the simple past. So it's not in
Ah,
the present, but it's in the past. The diamond,
was
exactly. The diamond was
was
stolen
stolen
mhm,
from the museum.
from the museum. Very good. That's right. Excellent. Listo, muy bien. Excellent. Number seven, Manu.
The school, someone is writing horrible messages on the walls. And horrible messages, worse writings on the walls.
Very good. Like, almost because that one was simple present and here is in present continuous. Is right. So horrible messages are
Are
being
being writings on the walls of the
exactly.
school.
Muy bien. So horrible messages are being written on the walls of the school. That's great.
Right.
Very good. Ready?
Okay.
And the last one, my dear Andrea.
People waste a lot of time on Instagram and TikTok.
Very good. Waste. What is the meaning of waste?
Desperdiciar, botar.
Desperdiciar, gastar. Very good.
Eh, the time is was
Wasted.
is, pero no es. The time is being waste.
Puede
Waste.
ser también, pero depende del original. La original en este caso está siendo en
Okay.
simple present, entonces is wasted. Si fuera como el anterior, por ejemplo, que era present continuous, ahí sí sería is being wasted. Pero en este caso simplemente es is wasted. That's it.
The time is wasted on Instagram and TikTok.
That's it. It's not necessary to say people one more time, no? So no
Yes.
problem. Ready. Muy bien. So remember that it says, be careful with the time of the original sentence because that should be the time that we use in the passive voice sentence equally, right? We cannot change it. It must be the same that we used, right? Bueno, my dear babies. The checkpoint of the week number 7, of the week number 8, creo que Manu ya lo entregó, de hecho, ¿cierto? El checkpoint of the week number 8.
Yes, teacher. Yes, sir.
Listo, good. I already corrected, no, but for example, in the first part, it's an audio.
Yes.
It's an audio.
Yes.
in which you have to describe the environmental issues of your area. For example, Andre, you live in Medellin, right? Yes.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, good. So in that case, you should describe which are the environmental problems of your region. And of course, using the passive voice. For example, the air is being polluted by the heavy traffic, by the acid rain, the rivers are being flooded by the obstruction of the sewers, de las alcantarillas, right? Or, well, the different environmental problems that you can see in Medellin, you can describe them there using the passive voice. The idea is to use the passive voice in the description of the first activity. In the second activity, you have to describe two things. First, like some recommendations for the change of a bar, which you can do it also with passive voice of modal verbs. Like, for example, the chairs should be replaced. The topic or the theme of the bar should be changed. Some new cocktails must be added, or well, something like that. And also giving some rules to the bar, right? So that action you can do it with the gerund sentences that we saw the last time. For example, smoking inside the bar is prohibited using the gerund, the sentences with ing. Fighting inside the bar is prohibited. Showing your ID at the entrance is necessary or is an obligation. And finally, they say, give a justification for those rules. So you could say, for example, smoking is prohibited with the expression because and so. Remember, because ta 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 ta. Smoking is prohibited because it is harmful for the health, because people don't like it, so on, so on. Or you can do it the other way. Most of the people don't like the smoke of the cigarette. So smoking is prohibited inside the bar. That's going to be the second activity. It's a little bit not long, but it's a little bit, how do you say that, complex, yes? That doesn't have to be so long, but it needs to be well thought, the answers that you give, okay? Try to.
Right. I missed that. I missed that in the justification of the rules.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. So don't worry. Anyway, I just give the correction, but it's not a big deal, so no problem. But for Andrea, who hasn't done it, so please take into account these recommendations, okay? Inclusion of the passive voice, inclusion of the gerund part, okay?
Jaron in the second part of checkpoint.
Yeah, exactly. On the part of the bar, on the bar description. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And also the expressions because and so for the justification of the rules. Okay.
Yes, teacher.
Bueno, my dear. So it doesn't have to be so long. Not necessary to be 20 rules or something. With 5 rules, it's all right. No problem. Ready? Bueno, my dear people.
Yeah.
So any questions about the passive voice? Everything clear? Any doubt?
No, just say that, be careful with the time of the original sentence is the most important.
That's really important. True.
Teacher, I imagine that passive voice is common, is very common.
It is. In all those contexts that I show you, like talking about when the subject is not clear. So there are many contexts or many situations in which the subject is not clear. So it is actually pretty common, the passive voice in different tenses, in simple present, in present continuous, is very common, okay?
Okay.
Ready? Guys, the next week we have 2 classes also. So we're going to have our first class 9.1 on Wednesday, 7 p.m. and our second class 9.2 on Thursday, on a week, exactly on a week at 7 p.m. Ready? So for you to know it, I hope that you can program those classes. It's important for you too. And that's it. Okay, so let's go ahead. Continue with the activities. Remember that we have already 1 month. Ya nos queda un mesecito de este nivel para ya finalizarlo y empezar con el intermedio 1, ¿vale? Entonces, pues para que se vayan adelantando, ya deberían estar más o menos por el orden del 65, 70% más o menos. Obviamente, si no van a ir, no se preocupen, pueden irse adelantando, no worries. Lo importante pues es que vayan igual también al día con las clases y pues con las actividades se vayan adelantando poco a poco. El 17, o sea, la semana del 17 de julio, empezamos con la primera semana de intermedio 1, o sea, nos quedan 4 semanas, o sea, esta que estamos acabando y 4 semanas más para terminar el básico 2, ¿listo? En semana 9, semana 10, semana 11 y semana 12. Entonces nos queda pues un mesecito más para estar empezando el 17 de julio con el intermedio 1, ¿vale? Para que más o menos calculen sus días, su tiempo, para que vayan terminando las actividades con tiempito, que no les vaya a coger la tarde, ¿vale? ¿Ready?
Right, teacher.
Good. Recuerden que tan pronto superen el 90% con una nota superior a 80, con el 80% de actividades aprobadas, ya les va a ustedes mismos, simplemente, o sea, automáticamente se les habilita el siguiente nivel. Yo no tengo que hacer nada, sino que ustedes cuando cumplen los 3 requisitos, ¡pum!, se activa directamente, automáticamente en sus plataformas, ¿vale? Entonces, pues, para que lo tengan en cuenta, ¿ok? Okay.
Teacher, which
Good,
are
teacher.
the requisites?
Sorry, my dear Andre. Which are the requirements?
¿Cuáles son los requisitos? ¿Cuáles son los 3 requisitos que
First,
mencionas?
90% of progress. 90%.
Yes.
Second, 80% minimum of the grade. Minimum, right? And third, having 80% of the lessons approved. 80% in our group is 40 lessons. The whole course, the whole level, todo el nivel son 50 lecciones. Entre clases, actividades y checkpoints son 50. El 80% de esos son 40, es decir, que tienen como un rango de 10 actividades para tener sin aprobar. No pasa nada. Pero ya más de eso, ya no les va a activar el siguiente nivel. Entonces, digamos que son esos 3 requisitos. 80% de actividades aprobadas, 80% de nota y 90% de progreso. ¿Vale?
I understood.
Perfect. That's all right. Bueno, my dear people, so see you the next week on Wednesday of the next week. And on Saturday, you can program the classes for the next week, okay? No problem.
Okay, teacher. Thank you very
Guys,
much.
have a good week. Have a good weekend. Rest. Descansen mucho. So see you soon. See you next week.